What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content. We are back. Ravens play Sunday Night Football. Obviously, it's the blackout game, the Darkness Rises game for the Ravens. Always a fun game to watch. Joshua, you've been to one of them, haven't you?
Yeah. That was that 2019 against the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
That was a fun
So,
one.
it's definitely the best Ravens home experience that we have until maybe the Purple Rising it's Darkness Falls, Purple Rising. What is it? Maybe I gotta change the title of this video. I think it's Darkness Falls. There we go. Purple Rising. Purple Rising could be cool, but I feel like it's not going to beat the blackout. I think it's a ton of fun to watch. The lights going off at M&T Bank Stadium. It should be a lot of fun. Obviously, big time matchup against the Bills. After we've started slow last week, we're able to gain some ground, but the Ravens ended up almost losing that game, which was unfortunate. But what are your thoughts looking at this game, looking at this matchup? And we haven't made many videos in the last couple of weeks, so just season as a whole so far.
Well, I mean, I will definitely say that this is. I feel like every game is a need to win. We started off the season rough. We've been in games, and it's not like we was getting a belt ass whipping in the games that we lost. But at the same time, it's like you got to finish out strong. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't depend on the refs. You got to depend on your scheme, your game plan, and your coaches and your brothers around you that's on the field with you. We've seen a lot of things that's been going on the field, especially with that offensive line. I'm interested to see how this offensive line is going to fare tonight. With McCarthy being moved to left guard, still having Daniel at the right guard, but Mr. Rosengarten, who actually showed a lot of promise against Mr. Max Crosby and did not see the rest of the field, did not see the rest of the game that night, which is still mind-boggling to me. Will be getting his first start of his rookie year, so I'm looking forward to see how this group of guys come together for this on this offensive line. Shout out to Adisa Isaac and TJ Tampa being active tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing those guys get around the ball. I think Yannick Ngakwe is also going to be active tonight too. This is some. Oh no! Okay.
They declined it this week.
Okay.
The expectation, hopefully next week we get them.
Okay. But I mean, that was a move that I kind of was mulling around throughout the summer that we should end up picking them. That we should bring them back. I feel like this team could be another playoff team, a team that can make it to the Super Bowl. Yeah. JJ having Derrick Henry in all black, man, that's going to be a sight to see tonight. Especially if we get him going early and keep him steadily in the game too. So, of course, McConnell and I probably do question a lot of things that John, brother of Jim, does. And I know we're going to scratch our head tonight, but I know these guys are going to rally together. I know they're going to want to fight. I know they're going to want to come away with a win. I know everybody is a little skeptical of the defense. I know everybody might be. I don't know. I know how fans can be asking for people's jobs. Do remember that Mike McDonald, first time taking over as a defensive coordinator, was a little scarce as well. So let Zachary Orr continue getting his feet right. We're calling the plays. I promise you, by the end of the season, that he'll feel more comfortable and he'll be dialing up schemes better than any DC that we probably had. I'm calling it.
Yeah, this offensive line and this defense, we knew coming into this season, and we had talked about it, and I once again apologize. We haven't had as much content out as of late, but we talked about it. The offensive line, it's going to take time because almost all of them are new starters, or at least new to this offensive line. And then the defense is a brand new play caller. And you lost not necessarily saying that they were the best of players, but we lost players that were playing a lot, right? Guys like Patrick Queen, guys like Jadeveon Clowney, guys like Geno Stone, who had all played a lot for the Ravens this last year. So, finding these new roles, these new primary pass rushers. And, I think Zachary Orr has done a great job in terms of being able to dial up or at least having a defense that's getting that pressure without needing to blitz. I'd like to see the blitz get to the quarterback a little bit more. I feel like he's still working on that. That was one of the things Mike McDonald was fantastic at, was those slot corners, those safety blitzes just felt like they were automatic for, if not sacks, at least pressures that completely disrupt the entire play. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that from Zachary Orr. But, Mike McDonald, we blew leads with him. We blew that Miami lead. And there were people literally saying, like, we need to not have Mike McDonald. Like, he sucks. And, like, our thought process was, hey, no, he's actually really good. The problem was Marlon or Marcus Peters had gotten hurt that game, and it was like Jalen Armour Davis in his rookie year was a starting outside corner, and he's covering Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle every time. And it's like, okay, that's going to happen. And this game against the Cowboys with the blown lead, I tweeted about it, but everybody knows I'm a hater of brother of Jim Harbaugh, but I actually didn't put that game on him, because when I looked at it, I was like, I think the game plan by Todd Monken was fantastic. The execution down the stretch was poor. Their first drive of the second half, they score, I believe. And then after that, it was good drive going, and then holding, and then following the holding was an illegal use of hands to the face. They couldn't overcome it. The next drive, they miss a 45-yard field goal. The expectation is like Justin Tucker makes that. And I still believe in Justin Tucker, but like that's a miscue. Then we fail the onside kick recovery, and it's like, oh, this sucks. And so like really the Ravens were stopped by quote unquote play calling maybe once in that game. And if that happens in a game, that's a fantastic game script. They got stopped once by the Cowboys, and then the Ravens ended up punting it. But then they got the ball back. They needed to steal it. They ran the ball very well. I think if Dallas doesn't recover that onside kick, that game goes very differently, because the Cowboys, I don't even know if the Cowboys get another possession after that. And if they do, it's a possession with, a couple minutes left where they're not going to be able to do anything because they're down 3 scores. But instead, they got momentum and they're able to do everything based on that momentum. But like, I don't fault anybody in that game. I think it was a really well called game. I was surprised with the faith in Nate Wiggins, but at the same time, I'm all for it. Like, throw him to the fire. I did not love, though, because I think Nate Wiggins played fantastic. The only issue was he gave up a couple of big plays to CeeDee Lamb. My issue was the 2 plays that he really gave up to CeeDee Lamb. One was a PI where he got called and they gave him the ball at like the 5, but then it got negated because of a holding or something like that. And then the other was a sideline shot to CeeDee Lamb, or maybe it was a fade, and they got like 25 yards towards the end of the first half. They didn't have safety help on that, and we're playing like press man coverage. I thought that was a little bit of a strange decision at the end of the first half to not have safety help. But other than that, he did a great job. He got beaten on some slants, but was able to force that fumble. He's quickly reacting. They gave him a bad call for one of the penalties he had, but he's a learning corner. I'm glad we're giving him experience because he's out there making plays. And that's all you can really ask, because anybody else that you sub in there is not going to be making plays. Even though he makes some mistakes, I think he's making up for it and then some, with that forced fumble and with his tackling. He's shooting gaps. He's doing everything that you'd ask from him. And it's moving Marlon Humphrey to the slot, which I'm completely fine with. And it doesn't feel like we're forcing anything, right? It's not like, oh, we have to give him his charity snaps. It's like, no, it's like situations with 3 corners. Nate Wiggins is on the field every time. And I really like that. And I appreciate that from Zachary Orr and the coaching staff playing their guys. And we'll see how it works out tonight, because now we're not facing CeeDee Lamb, but we are facing one of the best, a top 2 quarterback that you could face as a Ravens corner, right? Because you can't face Lamar. And it's incredibly difficult against Josh Allen. So, Joshua, for this defense, you're going up against Josh Allen, who's been fantastic this year. And, James Cook's been really good. What's your thought process on what the Ravens need to do on defense to win this game?
Oh man, bad enough from already trying to put up a defensive scheme for my own guys, my high school team. So coming together for a defensive scheme for the Ravens. So I mean, pretty much I would have Travis Jones and Namdi Metabike in the interior, of course. I would be letting my dogs out on the defensive end in regards of Adafio Way and David Ojabo, and also shout out to Adafio Way. He's been putting up a damn performance in the beginning of the season. He's been making me a believer that he can be a 10 sack guy. I'm looking forward that he shadows that in his career, man. So I definitely feel like you got to get those interior guys up the field. I mean, running backs. I mean, when it comes to our linebackers versus the running backs, I feel like we do pretty good. I feel like we need to keep Trenton Simpson in the game as much as possible. Do they still have Kincaid as a tight end? If he's in the game, whether you say either put Trenton Simpson on Kincaid or either I'm about to say Derek Hamilton on Kincaid. I feel like you need to put some of your best defensive athletes on some of their best guys. And honestly, I don't have it's nothing against Uncle Ro. It's nothing against the sheriff in the town, but the sheriff is maybe one of the best run stopping linebackers in the game. And I don't feel like he putting them in pass coverage situations is um, I don't feel like it works for his play style. I don't feel like you're really showing his true potential. He's not a Fred Warner. Shout out to Fred Warner with the interception and taking it back to the crib. It's two different styles of linebacker though. Um, I feel like my DBs. We just need to overtop it to help. I love Brandon Stevens. BS ball skills. He's been stepping up. He's definitely been showing that he can be that guy. I'm looking forward to seeing Nate Wiggins continue to grow as a corner. I'm looking forward to seeing Mr. TJ Tampa get out there as well. Marlon Humphrey. This is something we've been doing with him his whole career as a Raven. Whether it's been lining him up on the outside, lining him up as a nickel, we put him everywhere. So I mean, having him, sometimes guard the best receiver, or just having his presence being out there in the field, it definitely gives a surge of confidence to that DB room. Shout out to Marcus Williams. I mean, he's doing his thing. He hasn't really got any interceptions as of yet, but I mean, when he's available, I know it's going to happen. I know he's going to make the best of it. Even Eddie Jackson, when he's on the field, I know he does what he needs to do. I mean, and actually, shout out to Eddie Jackson because Eddie Jackson is getting a lot of snaps. They're truly treating him like how we did with Geno Stone. So I feel like we do. I feel like Zachary Orr has a great game plan for these guys. Had those guys get up the field, get that gap responsibility. Josh Allen is the modern day Big Ben, and that's a compliment. Big Ben, we know how big he was, 6'5", 6'6", maybe 250, 260, whatever. He can sling the ball. He doesn't mind putting his shoulder down and try to run somebody over. These linebackers, these defensive ends, Travis Jones, Broderick Washington, Nabdi, they're going to have to get after him and make sure he feels every hit that he don't want to keep running. And to stop the run, you have to keep hitting the guy. You got to keep hitting the guy. And I promise you, he would not want to continue running all night. Y'all going to force him to throw it. Our secondary is going to be there. We should be able to have a great game here in Baltimore.
I totally agree. I think you have to, you have to hit Josh Allen. You have to be smart about it. You don't want to draw any penalties. I know the Ravens were devastated by poor calls last week. I will say I didn't think some of those penalties should have been penalties, but I think one thing that we should do is third down situations. I think if Roquan Smith is on the field, he should be spying. He's been very suspect in zone coverage this year. Tight ends have been doing a great job of just sneaking in right behind him. I think either have Roby in underneath zone, so playing close to the line of scrimmage within 5 yards, or just straight up have him spy and then have Trenton Simpson play on top of him and have him use his athleticism over the middle of the field, because that's one aspect that the Ravens defense has given up a lot of yards on, is really just that over the middle while they're in zone coverage, throwing it right over Roquan Smith. And that's not necessarily Roquan Smith's fault. He's dropping to his designated spot, but he's not instinctive enough to make those extra plays. I think keeping him close to the line of scrimmage, if Josh Allen tries to run, that's a bigger warning for him to not run. So I would love to see Roquan Smith play close to the line of scrimmage and really try and decentivize, running the football. But, we got like 10 minutes until this game starts. I think it's time to bring back the bold predictions, Joshua. What do you think is your offensive bold prediction for this game?
Oh man. I'm gonna take a little bit what James Green said. 25 rushing attempts out of Derrick Henry, but out of those 25 rushing attempts, I got him putting up 125 rushing yards with 2 tutties.
I love it. I think that this Bills defense is yet to really face a really good run game, and that's what this Ravens team is going to try and bring. I think my bold prediction is I think I love your prediction. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a big game, but I think this is the Mark Andrews game. I think this is the game where we're running the ball well, and we start to get some of those play actions to really work, and we just start seeing Mark Andrews on those 15 to 20 yard passes, catch a few of those. I think he'll get a touchdown in the red zone as well, just because Derrick Henry's going to start bringing that presence, and the focus will let go of Mark Andrews in the passing game, and hopefully he's able to have a big game, which I think he will. So very excited to see what the Ravens do on offense, because last week we didn't see much of the passing game. It was like 6 dropbacks that weren't screen passes or something like that.
Yeah.
6 dropbacks that weren't screen passes or play action, I think it was, which is very few, but it worked out last week. We're going to see what the Ravens try and do this week. What about for defense?
Defense, I gotta go with my front 7. So I got Adisa, David, and Adafi having a combined 5 sacks with a fumble recovery to the crib.
I love it. I think that when you're playing Josh Allen, the recipe to win is to force turnovers, and it is to get that pressure to force him to either, make difficult throws or lose the football on a fumble. One player that, always seems to ball out is Adafe away in the prime time. He's done a very, very good job throughout his career. But I think that this game we get the hopefully the first of many in a Nate Wiggins interception. And then I also think we get one out of Kyle Hamilton. I think he's able to get a big play as well. And I am him. No, Yannick is not playing today, which means Kyle Van Noy, who's honestly been fantastic, and Adafe are going to be our primary edge rushers. But we do have Adisa Isaac as a backup, as well as David Ojabo rotating in and out, which I'm very happy with. And I honestly, someone said, can the Ravens stop the run without Michael Pierce? I'm actually very excited to see how good Travis Jones is at stopping the run, because I think he's great at it. And I think that this could be, Don, I totally agree, as a big breakout game for Travis Jones, purely off the fact that he can stop the run, and he's fantastic at collapsing the pocket in the pass rush. He doesn't get a lot of sacks because he's not very quick, but he's great at collapsing the pocket. He's the unsung hero, I think, of this entire Ravens defense so far this year. So I'd love to see him have a big game. That way we could keep Michael Pierce off the defensive front in, other games when we go out there and, are on 1st and 10. I don't want to see Michael Pierce out there. I hope Travis Jones is able to show, like, hey, you can leave me out there. I'm going to do my job. They're not going to run on me.
And speaking of Yannick Ngakoue, real quick, how surprised was you to see that he came back to Baltimore?
That was wild. One of the biggest issues for him was he hated Wink, which makes sense. I hated Wink. Judon hated Wink. Every pass rusher for the Ravens hated Wink because Wink hated edge rushers. Always did. Even in press conference, you'd be like, "Yeah, I don't need edge rushers." And it's like, dude, stop saying things like that. Like, come on, we need these guys. Why do you think no one comes to us? But yeah, no, I think Yannick Ngakoue, he looked okay last year for the Bears. And, we don't need him to be a 10 sack guy like we did when we signed him, 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Us having him is like, hey, if you can get us a couple of sacks, come in on third down, that's perfect. And I am him. I think last week showed the progression when you look at that touchdown reception he had. Gets open, sits in the coverage. Whereas in week 1 against the Chiefs, Lamar was like, man, I thought Bateman was going to sit. Bateman took that, sat, got the easy touchdown. I think that shows that's kind of a moment. I look back to like Isaiah Likely. Remember when he had that, no, Lamar, like throw it up. And then Lamar started throwing it up, and that connection was able to really take off. So hopefully we get that because Bate gets open. Bate's just got to start sitting in zone coverage so that Lamar, and him can be on the same page.
Yeah, man. I mean, what's this, week 4?
Mm-hmm.
We needed time for it to come together. I mean, everybody got to look at it and think about it. We didn't do what Kansas City did. Kansas City had some of their starters play in preseason. Our guys sat out. And when you have your starters sit out in those preseason games, they're missing out on those reps. I mean, granted, they get the reps in practice and things of that nature, but it's a different type of rep when you get in game speed and other opponents. But I know we're coming up on time. Are we going to do a score prediction, McConnell?
Let's do it. Do you have one first? I'll think of mine.
I'm not going to count Buffalo out. I know, the record versus them in the Lamar Jackson era has not been the best, but I still got us coming out with a win here in prime time in Baltimore. Mark Ingram's in the house. Steve Smith is in the house. Angel Reese, shout out to her. Bub Carrington, that got drafted by the Wizards, in the house tonight. So there's a lot of Baltimore shenanigans going on tonight for sure. So I'm going with 31-17 tonight.
31-17. That's very similar to my prediction. I was thinking 31-19.
Okay.
And you brought up Bud Carrington. I loved Bud Carrington in the draft, so I think he should be good for the Wizards, hopefully, because I really did like his game at Pitt. But guys, everyone, we'll be live after the game, so make sure to come through to that. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more, and we'll see all of you again, hopefully when the Ravens have evened out their record at 2-2.